If you haven't been keeping up with my slow living vlogs this year, you are probably unaware of my just slight Amazon book addiction. But I'm going to be making that 2023 TBR easy for you, sharing the best and the worst of books from 2022. So with that being said, grab yourself a cuppa and let's get into the video. I'm starting off with one of my best, and that is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I recently read this. It was literally just the last book that I finished up, so it's quite quick for me to put on my best list, but it did take me only like a second to sort of slowly get into it, and once I was hooked. I wanted to know more. It is definitely like a bit more of a crime or thriller type book, little element of romance in there as well, and it's one of those ones where you kind of want to uncover all of the secrets and the hidden past to find out what happens next. First one from my would not recommend list, it is The New Hustle by Emma Isaacs. Honestly, I just thought that this would be some really practical tips to kind of be more productive, make better use of your time, make a start in kind of the business and entrepreneurial realm. But I just found it so broad, so vague, and really not helpful. So I definitely won't be reading this one again. The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine was a definite favorite. I started out kind of just being like, oh, what's going on here? I don't really like this main character. I'm not sure if that's how it's meant to be. And then about halfway through the book, after kind of setting up what I thought was going to be the main character, she does a complete switch on us. And there are some like juicy secrets and backstory that's revealed, and like once I got into that second half, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm glad I persevered. This is fantastic. I did not like 50 Shades of Grey. It's by E.L. James, and I think it was one of her first books, and to me it was just written so poorly. Like the characterization, the description, there were so many cliches. I didn't finish it. I didn't even get halfway through it. I just started it, and maybe it's the English teacher in me and like having to read so many terrible pieces of creative writing that I just could not persevere with this. And I would strongly advise you, if you value your time, that you don't persevere with it either. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, however, by Holly Jackson, I did really like. This one is the first one in the series, and I do have the second and third books. However, I haven't gotten into those yet. Honestly, my TBR is so long, but I really like this one. It is sort of your young adult crime thriller, a bit of a whodunit type of thing, with the main character taking it upon herself to investigate, and some bumps along the way. So if that's up your alley, definitely put this on your to read list. I like to have a Christian book among kind of my collection that I'm reading, so I'll always have a Christian, a fiction, and a non-fiction, and this is one of the Christian books that I picked up. It's called The Fight to Flourish by Jeannie Lusko, and I just didn't like it. Like the whole sort of premise of it is engaging in the struggle to cultivate the life you were born to live, and I just really thought that there would be more messages or like teachings throughout the book that would kind of apply broadly to kind of anyone and the struggles they face. But she spends a lot of time talking about one very significant personal struggle in her life and how it's affected her. And if I wanted to read her memoir, I would probably find that interesting, but I didn't. I wanted to read a book about overcoming struggle and like living the life you're born to live, and I just feel like it didn't really live up to that expectation. A Christian book that did live up to the expectation, however, is When Striving Ceases, and it's by Ruth Chou Simmons. I absolutely love her. I'm on to another one of her books at the moment, and I just find her way of writing, and in particular her artwork, is just so uplifting and beautiful. And this one was fantastic for me because it was all about overcoming perfectionism. And yes, she did incorporate different anecdotes from her life, a variety of them, but she also then just applied that to real world situations and just teaching in a way that could be more broadly applied to sort of anyone who is struggling with perfectionism and like stress and all of those different things. So it's called Replacing the Gospel of Self-Improvement with the Gospel of Life Transforming Grace, and it's definitely one that I would recommend. This one I kind of have mixed feelings about because I don't truly dislike it so passionately as I do the other ones, but I still just don't like it either. It's called Wintering by Katherine May, The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times. And kind of like a similar philosophy, I hoped that there would be anecdotes in there, but I hoped also that there would be more broad teaching and practical tips. And I just feel like that was missing and it was just kind of boring, to be honest. This one is a yes. It's Who Are You Following by Sadie Robertson Half. And in this sort of very digital connected age where we are so consumed by technology and like living online, I mean, I'm recording something for you and you guys are watching it on the internet right now. It is very easy to get swept up in that and kind of lose parts of yourself and lose connection with Jesus if that's who you follow like I do. And I found that this was a really uplifting book and with also a whole heap of practical teachings and tips. And it's definitely something that I'll go back and read again to garner sort of more wisdom and just sort of reset, like a bit of a digital detox. It's a no for me. Burnout, Solve Your Stress Cycle by Emily and Amelia Nagoski. And I just feel like the title of this book, the premise of this book is so me. I am insanely stressed most of the time. 2022 wasn't a great year for me in terms of stress and burnout. But I just feel like this book was all over the place. It was just, there wasn't like a sense of continuity. It wasn't even always about stress or burnout. It kind of also brought in their feminism and privilege, which I mean is fine. Like, I love learning about those things and reading about those things, but I just didn't want to read about those things in a book about burnout. I wanted to learn more about burnout, and I just feel like I didn't really. It's a yes for me, and probably like most people at the moment, because everyone is talking about It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and I got on the train as well and I absolutely loved it. Trigger warning, however, it does deal heavily in themes of domestic violence, so if that's going to be something that you should steer clear from, then I would probably recommend not reading this book. But just from a romance, drama, thriller kind of perspective, it just hooks you in from the get-go and just was an awesome read, really. I love books on minimalism, but this one was just a no. It's The Abundance of Less by Macy Pussy, not sure how to pronounce her last name. And one of the things that I really disliked about this book is it had your chapters and then it also had blog posts. And oftentimes, so the blog posts I'm guessing are just copied and pasted from her blog, which for me is like just a bit slack at work, really. I mean, I could just go and look on your blog. I didn't need to buy a book to read posts from your blog. But then also there was a significant overlap between the copied and pasted blog posts and what was going on in the chapters. So you were often rereading the same kind of events over and over again, which I found really frustrating. I love an aesthetic coffee table book, and conveniently this one is called All Things Lovely and it's by Jen Johnson, and I really liked it. There was beautiful pictures. It looks very aesthetic to be putting out as decor in your home. It also had some great messages on like slow living, like Christianity, being a mum, like a whole heap of just really cozy and uplifting things. So if that's your vibe, definitely check this one out. This one wasn't bad, it just wasn't great either. It's called A Cotswold Family Life by Claire McIntosh. It was one of the books I picked up in a thrift haul earlier in the year, and I just hoped that there would be more Cotswold-esque to the book. I mean, really, it could have been written or set anywhere. I do like that it kind of had the different months of the year and like something sort of cozy and cute from each of those months, but I really wanted to feel like that cozy, quaint English village feel to it, and it just wasn't there. Ruth is the only author that is appearing twice on my best books list. This is Beholding and Becoming. I'm actually not even finished it yet, but I just love it so much that it deserves a mention. First of all, it is a fantastic devotional, or at least like that's how I'm using it as anyway. I just read a little chapter each day. The chapters are nice and short, maybe only like a page or two. And as you can see, there are stunning artworks throughout that really just help to create like a very uplifting atmosphere. My last two books are very sadly from the meh list. The first one is Dissolve by Nikki Gemmell, and I felt the blurb was a little bit vague, but I thought I'd give it a go anyway. And just for me, it was just a very weird and mostly like academic, educational-esque blend of memoir and kind of feminist agenda manifesto, which I think is fantastic to read and learn about, but just the way that it was written, it was very much more like academic-esque and not just something that you could engage in for some light or entertaining reading, which is what I was hoping for. My last one kind of makes me sad to put it on the like not good list because it looks so pretty. Who doesn't love a bubblegum pink like coffee table book that's all about skincare and beauty? Well, apparently me. This is Get the F Out of the Sun, and it's by Lauren Evetts Bosick. The thing about this book is there are parts of it that are written solely by her, but actually the majority of this book is like question and answer from different influences. So it might be beauty, it might be lifestyle, it might be style, whatever, and she's trying to gain their perspective on, you know, top tips or skincare routines or whatever. And I just found that really annoying. I mean, if I wanted to know what these influencers used, I would go check out their channels, or like I would search them online. I really wanted to gain some wisdom, like insight, practical tips from her. And she's also like, I like how she brings in some professionals and gets their opinions, like different, you know, plastic surgeons or estheticians, different things like that. I think that's really cool and interesting, but just all of these different influencers was kind of a bit of a cop-out to me, a bit of a cheats way of doing things, especially when I'm finding that their responses to the questions often contradict each other. Like they're giving different sorts of pieces of advice, and they even go against sometimes what she's saying and certainly what each other is saying. So I very much found it frustrating to read. I think if I were to read it again, I would probably only read the bits from her and not from all these random other people, a bunch of which I didn't even know. So that's it for me, guys. My best and worst picks for books for 2022. I did have a whole heap more books that I have read this year, but they kind of just like the middle ground. I either liked them, but like not enough to put on the best list, or they were kind of just like, yeah, they were alright, but not like bad enough that I could put them on the worst list. So make sure that you stay tuned, because sure enough, there will be more fantastic books coming your way in 2023. And oftentimes in my day in the life vlogs, I do like to talk about what I'm currently reading and give you like a little bit more in-depth overview of the synopsis or my thoughts on it. But if you did like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe down below. I put out new videos every week. With that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys.